Okay, welcome to Bitrix24 Live. I'm Damien Edwards, Commercial Manager of Bitrix24 Partners Interface. We are gold partners of Damien Edwards. Gold partners of Bitrix24. We're based in the UK and we have offices in Dubai and New York. And we essentially provide pre-sale support, so we can provide you with a demo of Bitrix. We can answer your questions about your specific requirements and advise you on the best addition for your business. We then provide a full implementation service, including customization, any customization and implementation you need, and we provide training either online or on site in your office. And then we provide telephone support as well. So really enhanced services that we provide on top of the sort of support that you get from Bitrix. We're able to provide those customizations and training and ongoing support requirements that you'll need, especially if you're doing anything out of the ordinary, or in particular if you have a self-hosted edition of Bitrix, which are advanced solution, generally require support from a partner. So with me I've got Andy Naylor, who's our support manager.
Hi guys, so we're going to be here for the next hour, so please do put your questions in the box on YouTube and we can work through them. We're going to be working on the cloud version of Bitrix as well as the on-premise version, so if you've got questions on either, we can show you on the screen hopefully the answers to those questions. If you do have any questions that you think of during the week, then please do email us at sales@Interface, the email on the screen there, or you can email live@interface.com as well. And we can usually start the session off with those questions. So, like I mentioned, we're here every week at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on a Thursday, and all the sessions are recorded, so you can review them on YouTube after if you do miss a portion of that.
You need to subscribe to Bitrix24 and search for Interface, and then you'll receive notifications when we go live. And if you hit the bell as well, then you'll get those notifications, so you don't set your alarm or anything, you'll get a notification when we're live, but as Andy said, same time. So we had a question about email. I think we get a lot of questions about email. I think there's been quite a lot of changes on email integration. It's pretty good now. You can get incoming and outgoing emails can be synced to the relevant contact in the CRM. So although Bitrix has its own email client, which you can use, most people want to continue to use generally Gmail or Outlook. So you can continue to do that, and those are good tools. So we would recommend, if you're happy with that, to continue to do that. That's what you want to do. But sync your, set your email account up inside Bitrix, so that all that email traffic that's relevant to the contacts in the CRM is stored. It means that not only can you see your history, you can see other people's history, so other people's interactions with that client. That's the point of a CRM, so you can see a full picture of all the interactions across your organization with that particular client. And email is one of those. Telephony, obviously, that will sync to the contact, and any notes that people have added manually, you want to be on the relevant contact. So it's quite straightforward to set up, I think, isn't it? But we get questions about it. It will sync every single email, so that's one thing you need to consider. Do you want all email traffic syncing into that contact? The only other thing to consider really is that you'll be able to see everyone else's emails to that contact, so that's a consideration. Generally it's okay if you're just talking about other people in a sales team, but if you're talking about management as well, you're going to see management's email to that contact, so that's you need to consider whether that's the right thing for your business. You can of course have restrictions on who can access that contact. So if your permissions don't allow you to access that particular contact, then you're not going to see anything at all. So different ways of making sure you see the right information. Anyway, we'll have a look at how.
Yeah, so if you go into the webmail, we're in a cloud version of Bitrix, and as Damien mentioned, you can integrate and connect the most common email providers. So by any means, you don't have to use Bitrix for your email client itself. You can continue to use, for example, Gmail out of the Gmail browser, or you can carry on using Outlook. It doesn't really matter, because once you've connected it, which I'll do in a moment, you can still sync those emails, as Damien mentioned, to the contacts. So you don't have to be coming in here and checking your emails in here if you don't want to. So it's quite simple and easy to connect. Each application is slightly different in how they authenticate. I'll just connect. We've got a demonstration email on Outlook, and if we click into here, we can then just log in. So interface demo at outlook.com. Click next, and then we'll put in our password. And click sign in. So you can see that's essentially authenticated. You can see here the email, and we can disable it if we want to. But there's a couple of things that you just need to be aware of, and this is where the question really came in about what do some of these actually mean. So fetching the messages into Bitrix, you can essentially bring all the emails for all time if you wanted to into your mailbox in Bitrix. So if we just bring in for the month, then if we can use the same details for outgoing emails, we just need to put a password in there, we can do so. That will allow us to send the emails. Let me just, there we go. And then this is where the integration happens. So let's just start off by deselecting them all and just having the top two. So the first of all, link to CRM. This is where if you've got this checked, then it will mean that every email that comes in to your mailbox is checked by Bitrix to see if that email exists in the CRM. If it does, as Damien mentioned earlier, it'll take a copy of that email and attach it to the activity stream of that contact or company. It's exactly the same with sent mail as well. So if you send an email to a contact that exists inside the Bitrix24 CRM, then it will take a copy of that email and put it into that contact or company's activity stream. So that's how the integration works. As I say, you don't have to send and receive inside Bitrix. You can continue to use your Gmail at the browser or Outlook on a desktop client. So you don't have to use these. So just processing messages. So how many do you want to sync into the CRM as a historic communication? So it may be that if you brought all your emails in, it will check to see whether they exist in the CRM, and then it will date them to match when you actually received or was sent those emails. So it will do historic emails. And then we have a few options. The only ones that we would just recommend maybe being aware of is create lead for incoming messages from new email addresses, because you're obviously going to receive a lot of emails from marketing. You might receive a lot of marketing emails, or you might receive a lot of emails that don't necessarily need to be used to create leads. So if you have that checked, it will create a lead for every new email address. So just be aware of that, because we do get a lot of calls just saying we have a lot of leads being created automatically, and it's generally because this is checked. And then it's the same. It's very similar to any outgoing emails. They're obviously you're going to send emails to contacts that don't exist in the CRM, and you might not want them in. So just be aware that if you do check this, then it's going to add them into the CRM as a contact. You can specify, if you do check either of these, you can specify who the responsible person is. So it might be that you're not connecting up a personal email address. It might be that you're actually connecting up an email address that is used to generate leads. So in that case, this is when you would actually check this. So you may have, I don't know, lead generation at intraface.com, and that's when you would have that checked. So you don't have to connect personal. And then finally, you can give access to other people to connect your email. So once we've connected it, and we've discussed the possibility of integrating with the CRM, the other options that come with connecting your email. We don't actually have any emails coming in here yet, but what you can do is you can essentially create tasks from emails that come in. Is one already connected on there? Is there?
Yeah, if you select one, you get the options to do these, don't you? Save to the CRM. So in that way, you can select, put the option to save or not save. I guess you can create a task, can't you? And then there's some additional ones, create an event or discuss in chat. These are coming soon, these additional features. So that would be a good reason not to use Bitrix Mail rather than Outlook.
Yeah, certainly. And these are coming, like David mentioned, these are coming soon, so you can discuss in chat, discuss in the activity stream. So if we wanted to create a task from here, we can just click on Create Task. It will slide up. You can see it's taken a copy of the email here, and we can write and make it responsible for whoever we wish inside Bitrix. So hopefully that explains the email. If you do want to connect multiple, just click on your email at the top and click Connect a New One, and you can have multiple accounts to switch between.
So that would mean when you go into your contacts, you've got option you can select from that drop down, can't you? So if we go into one of our contacts in the CRM, and if we want to send this person an email, we can click into email. You can choose your template or write an email, but then you can choose from the list of email accounts that you've got connected. So you can be operating different brands or from different addresses and select there. I guess we've got one which is default. So that's really good. Can you show me an example of referring domain in sales intelligence? Traffic sources are trying with Pinterest, but it doesn't work. So if it doesn't work, then it may be something that needs to be raised with Bitrix. I think the best thing we can do is test that afterwards and maybe come back to it next week if we can't do that today. But it is in beta, and so if you're finding issues with it, maybe that needs to be raised with Bitrix. We'll probably look at it. So they're looking at Pinterest, but the same for...
Yeah, I think some of these, like I say, are in beta. When you actually click on here, it says the ad account settings will be available soon, I do believe. So quite a lot of these are relatively new inside Bitrix, so it does allow you on here. So you just connect, and then we can set some parameters in here. So I think we're probably going to focus a webinar on the sales intelligence quite soon, because like I say, it is fairly new inside Bitrix. So we're going to focus on that. Yeah.
So we had a question about how to create a project group with task templates pre-populated in the group. So we can go through how to do that. So you can, of course, create a work group like this. I've got the option to do different types of groups, but I can create my group by completing a form. And this will create the group. I can invite my employees and extranet users into it using this form. That will create a group on its own with no content, no tasks, no documents. And then you can add the tasks to it manually, the documents manually. But quite a lot of businesses have a set of documents and tasks and things that they want to have inside a work group from the start of the project. And so there is a way of doing that. So let's do that from a company record, which would be the usual way. So you've won a new project for this particular business, and you now need to create the project, the work group. You can generate a business process that runs on the company record. I think we have one already here. No, not got one. Create Andy's project.
Oh yeah, it's the top one, yeah.
So we've got one here called Create Andy's project. Let's just have a look at let's just run that first, and then we'll look at the business process. So this is not a standard business process, one that you can create yourself. exists a form and then a process that generates the things from that form. So you don't have to have a form. It could pull information in from the company record, but it generally, or it could just create, in this case, it's asking us to name these milestones, and these milestones are essentially going to be tasks inside the project. Might be the projects are created exactly the same every single time, so you don't really need to specify stuff, although that said, you're probably going to have a different deadline all the time on the project. So we can give the project a name in this form, we can select who's going to be the manager, we can select task name, give these tasks a name, and then select a deadline for the project group and add documents. So you can create this form yourself. We'll have a look at how you edit these and create these forms. And then when I submit this, I think there might be, as part of the process, we'll have a look at that in a second, I think there might be a workflow approval, so let's just click into there. So instead of the project just being created from that form, there's a level of approval that goes to a management. So here it is, you have been assigned a new project, please accept and add the estimated completion date. I don't want that, I have to go into the start button. So here we go, it's asking me for a completion date, I'm going to put in end of the month, and I'm going to accept this. So this will now generate the rest, or run the rest of the process, which will create the group, create the tasks, assign the people to it, add the documents, etc. And if we go into our work groups page, we can see, this is the one that I created, ABC. We can see these guys are being added to it, and we can see that some tasks have been created with the description that I gave them. So your process can do a lot of other things, maybe add calendar events, add documents. You can actually specify which, if you've got a business edition, you can specify which of these features are enabled on the projects. It might be you don't need wiki or lists or photo library in your particular project. You can specify that in the process. Let's just look at the process so you can see how that sort of thing is built. If we go into CRM and settings and automation and business processes, then we want to go to the templates for company, because that's what we're running it on. This is the one that we were looking at. So this is the process. So first thing it does is we've got something there that updates a field, and I think that's not relevant to what we're talking about now, but it updates some information inside the work group, I think. But this is the approval. So this is the request to accept this project and input the completion date, the estimated completion date. If they reject that, then in this process, it runs down here and the process finishes. Should they approve it, then we're sending out a notification, we're creating the work group, and then we're creating the individual tasks that sit inside that work group. So this is fairly straightforward for you to add additional items to. So on the right hand side, you can access all the standard action blocks. If I want to create an extra task, I can do that. If we wanted to create a calendar event, you can do that. Sending out notifications and things are standard action blocks. And then you can populate the content of each of these. Just go into the settings, and I can populate who's going to be responsible for this task, the description of the task, and that type of thing. You need to check that you're assigning it to the right group in this setting box here. So yeah, that's how you would create a work group that has a series of tasks, templated tasks essentially inside the group, just by running a business process that creates the groups and adds the task to that group. There's a lot of actions that you might not need. I think the one up this one up here, the approve it, is in the tasks. I think it's probably
it's actually updating a field that within the company that it's being run from.
Right. Okay.
I did that in.
Okay. So yeah, and the other way to do this sort of thing is to create some task templates and then just add them manually. So create the work group and then select task templates manually. If you go into your tasks drop down here, then you can view your templates, and inside there you can add an additional template. So you can create those templates with some populated content and then just use those to speed up the process of creating your project groups.
Okay, yeah, our contact details are on the screen. So if you do, like I mentioned at the start, if you do have any questions throughout the week, do drop us an email with those questions to sales@interface.com, or get in touch with us using any of the contact details on the screen. If you do want any on-screen demonstrations, we can do one-to-one directly online through a screen share. We can show you whatever you need. So I had a question that just come through just with regards to sales targets and how we can set our sales agents to have those particular sales targets. So if we go into the CRM and go into, you may have noticed the start option here, and it's a really powerful tool. You obviously want to set your sales agents, the sales targets working inside the CRM. And what we can do as an administrator, if we scroll down, you can see here that we have the sales target widget. If you don't have this on your start screen for any reason, simply click on Add Report, and you can see here that there is a sales target actual action on here. So you just need to click on that and it will provide you with the widget on the screen. So you can see here that we have a sales target for one individual for the value of $10,000, and you can see that currently there's been $2,900 completed. So where these figures have been taken from are won deals. So once a user has won a deal within this target period, so currently in May 2019, this month, then it's going to add it to this individual's sales target. So you can see at the moment 28% complete. So this widget is a little bit hidden away if you've not seen it before. But what we can do, like I mentioned, as an administrator, I can set them all. So configure sales target. And for the May, we can click on add. And I can start adding other individuals in here. So if we said, and then, so what we would usually recommend for your sales targets is obviously you're going to have a month-on-month sales target for your sales agents. You can do this month in, so you can do it at the start of the year for every month. You just need to keep switching. So we say June, July, and go through each one and set the targets for each individual. So you click on save here, you then be able to see if Mark Hope was then to go and complete a deal, then his target would reflect that particular option. So this is where you come. If an individual, so let's say you're not an administrator, and Mike Black came to this page, he would be able to see his progress of his sales target. He wouldn't be able to see anybody else's. It would be reflected based on that individual user. So you wouldn't be able to see anyone else's in there.
Yeah. Okay. Can I customize my site so customers see different things, stroke pages, to employees? So your customers who are logging in as extranet users see different things anyway, in terms of they're restricted into what content they can see. They can't access the CRM, because you wouldn't want a customer to access your CRM data, so they can't access that. It's under the terms of the license, they can't access that part of the module, so there's no way by mistake they could access that. Every time you click on a link or open a link in your browser, your permissions are checked, and so even if you knew the link to that page, regardless of whether a menu item existed, you still couldn't access that content. So they can't access the CRM and they can't access HR tools. So those are things like workflows in the activity stream. So these workflows here, like leave request. So they can't see those automatically which means that when you log in as an extranet user, you see less. They don't have a personal calendar, an extranet user, so you don't see this calendar widget, and you don't see workflows because they don't have access to that for things like leave approval. So they see much less by default. But the question is, can I customize it so that my customers see different things and pages? So I mean, if we go in. I don't think on the cloud whether you can customize it. I mean, you can't really. They by default see less content. I don't know what. I mean, maybe you can let us know what sort of things you want to customize. If you're on the self-hosted edition, which this one is the self-hosted, then you can customize it quite a bit. So I've logged into the extranet here, and as this user, and we've put in some banners over here. This is a self-hosted edition, so it's not not available on the cloud, but you can customize what you see, customize the page extensively on the self-hosted. So yeah, good example is just showing some calls to action as banners on the right hand side. So easy to kind of change this content here, so I can change where it's linking out to, and then the image that I'm using on that banner is easy to change by going into this edit mode you have in a self-hosted edition. You can actually customize the menu item as well in the self-hosted again. So which you go into edit mode and then roll over here, and I can edit these descriptions here and where they go to. Can't really do that on the cloud. The men that they are. I don't think you can do that on the cloud. You can't change the.
No, you could only do the standard configuration there, couldn't you? So you could only use the configure menu.
Yeah.
And then move them below.
Can't rename, can you, with this? That doesn't allow you to rename.
No.
So you could just hide them. Or
I mean, you could create a new menu item, rename it, and hide the original.
Yeah.
That's the only way you possibly could do it.
Yeah. So, because I mean, you can do on the self-hosted, you can do all sorts of different things. We're working on a project whereby within a work group we're adding in some custom branding. So when the client logs into their project group, they see some branding here, over here, that reflects their own branding. And so you can do a lot more with the self-hosted like that. You can do, and we work on a lot of projects where you want to hide certain things for certain users. So, very specific things, maybe you don't want them to see certain columns or something, in the tasks or something. You can do that with the self-hosted. But I think, customizing it, yeah, is definitely possible in the self-hosted. But just on the cloud, they have restrictions anyway on what they can see. So, yeah.
So I've got another question come through. I'll leave the first part to Damien. The second part, can we get leads in on WhatsApp to the CRM? So there's no integration with WhatsApp at the moment. I think Bitrix are working towards that, and hopefully we can introduce that soon. But with regards to telephony, Damien can talk through the telephony options on the cloud.
Yeah, so if we go into telephony, then telephony works excellent in India. I mean, you want to look at which integrations are pre-built, really. So don't buy a telephone. If you're buying a telephone system, find out which ones work already with Bitrix, and then choose from those those options. We would recommend free PBX or 3CX as two options for telephony. Excuse me. Those have pre-built. We have integration with those two systems, which we can deploy for you. I think, I don't think there's any restriction in terms of, I don't think there's any difference about whereabouts in the world you are, whether one system's better than another system. As far as I know, those two systems are good. There is Ring Central integration, which we've worked with. That works fine. So yeah, I would speak to your local telephony, company that's going to provide the telephone system and see if they can do a 3CX or 3BX system, free PBX system. Or you can use inside Bitrix. You can use the built-in soft phone inside Bitrix. You can rent your number inside Bitrix here. Choose.
India is not available.
No, we don't have India, unfortunately. So you're going to have to integrate with another system. So unless it's not essential to have an Indian number, but I'm guessing it is. But most other places, surprising, must be a good reason why India's not available. But essentially, you can choose your region, choose the type of number you want, and then choose your location, and it will. If we click to rent, it will generate a telephone number for you, and $6 a month in the UK, similar in the US.
Yeah, I think there are obviously call rates on top of that. So if you are renting a number from Bitrix, you would just have to ensure that your account balance is topped up. And I think there is a page on the Bitrix24 website that has all the different calling rates for each region, so you can. They are very competitive, aren't they? They're very cheap. So you just need to make sure that this is topped up. And I think you can have it auto top up, can't you, when it hits a specific barrier as well. So.
Yep. So there's our contact details. So you know who we are. Interface with Bitrix24 partners, gold partners. And if you're in the Europe or the US or the Middle East, then we can provide support for you, a demo for you on Bitrix, and we can discuss your requirements, make some recommendations on which edition is right for you. So Bitrix is available as a cloud package where you pay a monthly subscription for it. It's relatively inexpensive, up to $200 a month, and the more advanced solutions are paid essentially annually, and can do a bit more with the business and on-premise solutions. But we'll give you some recommendations on what's right for your business, and we can then implement that and do the training, and then provide the support for you. So post your questions in the question box if you have questions. If I have a self-hosted version of Bitrix, do I need to take out support? So I think we do a lot of support for businesses, and so that's our support coming from us on top of the support you get from Bitrix. So Bitrix has a chat tool, so you can access them with questions. Their support is good for some organisations. If you want to do a lot with Bitrix and you're doing quite a big customizations or building workflows and things, then their support might not be enough for you. So the question is, do I need to take out support if I have a self-hosted? Well, I mean, if you've got a cloud edition, then you may not need support, because they are essentially built as a self-service tool where it's fairly straightforward to set up. You get a series of videos that you can use. If you've got, but that said, we can provide support if you want to do business process and things, and you might want support. If you have a self-hosted edition, you don't have to take out support, but you'll probably have problems without any sort of good partner support. There's quite a big control panel area, so you've got this extra space that you can edit pages and create new pages and sections, and then you've got a control panel area that allows you to configure it. So there's a lot more different options you've got here a lot more options to configure the system. So also you've got to be you're managing your own server potentially, so you've got to be known about how that all works. So support would be a definite must, I would say.
Yeah, certainly, and not just support either, is it? It's we offer training services, so you can get trained on via online or whether it's on site. We do both, anywhere in the world essentially, and we can train you on any area of Bitrix that you want to focus on. We can do minimum 2-hour sessions through to full week sessions if needed, with the relevant teams of people using each area. So training, and there's obviously a lot of YouTube videos as well. We do these every week. These are recorded. Some weeks we get a lot of questions, some weeks we try and just show you different areas as well if we don't get too many. And then there's the webinars. We have webinars every Monday that focus on particular areas such as the CRM projects, telephony, and we have the one on sites, and yeah, so there's quite a lot, quite a wide range.
So we've got a question here. Will a number known in my CRM show up against a relevant contact if I receive a call? So we can demo this. If we dial into the system, then so I'm making a call in. This should, if contact exists, so yes, it will tell me who's calling here. Gives me some links to deals that are associated with that contact as well, so we can answer that call inside the system. So I dropped the call, sorry, by mistake. So it will show up. Told me that I've got a skip call up here, so it will show up. It will find the relevant contact, and then if we go into some of our contacts, we should be able to see where it's recorded. So inside a contact, you get contact information on the left hand side and then all the activity on the right hand side, so things like planned activity here, and then below that historical activity. So we've got an email up here, and then we've got that's actually not a call, that's a recording. You can do recordings called a visit, storing text messages there. But we've got a call here, so an inbound call and an outbound call. So both those calls are recorded. So you can you can enable this or disable this. So it's obviously a requirement. It's obviously not. There also some regulation on recording calls in a lot of countries. So you can choose to turn this option off. If you have it on, you can also choose to play a recorded message alerting the user that their calls are being recorded at the beginning of the call or before the call's answered. But yet the question is, will it record against the relevant contact? Yeah, it will find the number. Obviously, they're calling from the right number that you've got on the record, then it will find the relevant contact.
So just had a question, can I manage social mentions through Bitrix24? So you can't manage mentions, so somebody's mentioned you on Twitter or Facebook. The integration that works, and I think that leads on to your next one. So the integration that works currently in Bitrix is that you can connect up Facebook. So Facebook is connecting your Facebook messages to Bitrix. So if somebody sends you a message via Facebook, it will come in through the open channel widget, and you can have a direct one-to-one conversation with that individual on Facebook whilst you're staying inside Bitrix. So that's what that essentially is. If somebody's replying to comments, so if you've put a post up and somebody's commenting on it, again, it will come in through the open channel widget, and you can reply to those comments directly from Bitrix to Facebook. So that's those two. Instagram is exactly the same. So if somebody's commenting on your Instagram posts, the post will actually come up to show you which post they've commented on, and again, you can reply straight through the open channel widget up here. So those are the options at the moment. Twitter isn't on here at the moment, so currently you have Facebook and Instagram. And then, you mentioned about the campaigns with Facebook. So you can set up a messenger campaign on here. The only thing with this is that the lead that you're campaigning to, so let's just say you've created a segment from a range of different leads, they will have had to come from Facebook messages, for example, one of the Facebook open channels, for you to be able to market to create a campaign for them. You can't just randomly send people in your CRM a campaign via a messenger. They would have had to have a source of Facebook chat, for an example. So that's how you would do that. You would come in here, click on campaigns or click on start, and then you can create a messenger campaign on there.
Okay, I have a list that I need to complete. I want to get the list into my Bitrix24, then make a process to guide my workers along the path to complete the enrolment of my customers. So you can do this in a few different ways, really, but let's just do it as you suggest, as a list. So we could. You want to create certain actions, I guess, for people to do when to enroll your customers. I think probably best just to create a list and assign it to a contact. So let's just have a look at that. If we go into
I'm not sure where is it.
Lists. Where's our lists? Oh, we've not got a link to it in there.
I think if we just
Okay, so we can create a list called enrollment, and we can save that. And where's our list gone for enrollment? Here it is. And we can then, so inside the list you need to create some fields. So I think it creates by default one field called name. So we go to customize fields. So what sort of fields would we have for enrollment? Let's just put start date. Select their date field, date type field, and save that, and then it will have a field that associates it to customer. Oops. We need to then to bind that to CRM. Bind to CRM items, and we want to bind it to a company in the CRM. So let's deselect the other ones, just leave company selected and save that.
I mean, if it's a process, you're probably not going to do it here, but you probably would have maybe stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're collecting data, aren't they? So, I mean, I don't know what data they want to collect, but let's just leave it as date. So what we need to do is we can then have a business process. If we go back, we can then have a business process, a workflow that notifies people so that they receive certain assignments to do certain things to onboard this person. So either you can create them as assignments, which they receive in their workflows, or create them as tasks, or just send them as notifications so people know they've got to do something. Let's add one so you can see what it looks like. So let's call this, give it a name, give it a start date. So let's say their start date is there, and then select a company that it's associated with and save it. So you could I'll click through to there. You could use that as a list, standalone list, and then they can create their items in there. Or you can go into your company here and you can view the one I've just created, or you can create another one here. So I don't know if that's exactly the details of what you want to do, but this could have a series of fields in there that you need the user to populate. So I can then edit my fields. I can add in, if you want to capture the start date at some point, I can add that in if that wasn't already populated. And then, your business process, if necessary, could be checking fields within here to check that they're completed by certain dates. And then if they're not, they can, send out reminders to people.
I think I'll probably get in touch with us maybe after. We'll put our contact details up, because if it's got many steps, it's very difficult to show you without understanding everything that you need. But that would be the skeleton of it, and then you would work from there with the process behind it. Is this an open question session? Yep, it certainly is. So I've only got 10 minutes left, so please do get your questions in.
So you said there's many steps and it's for medical patients, so there will be extranet users not associated with a company. So they're individuals, so you'd associate it to a contact rather than a company. You still want to have your contacts in the CRM, I guess, and so same thing really applies. This would just allow you to have all the fields that you need to get populated. I mean, of course, inside a contact, it might be that actually you do it slightly differently, and you just have a contact and then you have a deal associated with a contact, and then inside the deal you could have some custom fields that you need to be populated. So let's create this deal that associates the contact, and then create your custom fields. So it might be, we call this, or we even add a new section, or customize an existing section, call it information gathering or enrollment, and then create your custom fields that sit inside that section, and then you could have a business process that looks at whether those fields have been completed and reminds people. So that, in a way, that might be a simpler way of doing it, just adding it into a deal associated with a contact. In its simplest way, you could just actually add the information into a new section on the contact called enrollment here, and create your custom fields inside there. But if you want to run some processes that remind people to do things, then you'd have to do that on a deal. You can do that on a contact as well, can't you? Could do it on a contact. So it just depends. It depends. The option, you'd either do it on a contact, or if you had one contact that you wanted to do it multiple times for that particular contact, because they keep coming back for again and again, then you might want to create, do it on a deal. That way you can have a series of deals associated with one contact and see the history.
Yeah, so we've got another question. I'm looking for a tool to use construction management. I would like to be able to visually see tasks as they progress. So yeah, it's a very good tool for that. I probably would recommend having a look at our project management webinar to get a deeper understanding of the tasks. But what you can essentially do for your construction management, I would probably have projects. So you would have a project based on maybe what construction project it is, and then you would create that in here, your construction projects, and inside this you would be able to create tasks with specific dates. So you would have start dates and end dates for each individual task, and it would allow you then to view that particular construction project in maybe a Gantt chart view such as this. So you can see you would have milestones for a construction project, and you will be able to see which tasks are in progress, which tasks are surpassing their particular deadline that you may have on the task itself. So I think, like I say, I probably would recommend, we've only got a few minutes, but we would probably recommend having a look at the project webinar. That will give you quite a detailed analysis of the tasks.
Yeah, someone says, would like to contact you for support for setup and ongoing support. So that's what we do. So if you get in touch with us at sales@intraface.com, then with outline list of your requirements, then we can arrange a call to go through those and then follow up with some indication of cost or indication or fixed price usually on what's involved in that project, how much it's going to cost and how much it's going to take. And then, as you suggest, ongoing support. We'll provide ongoing support for you, telephone support, so that you can manage the system most effectively. Okay, put our contact details up there so that you can see our email address there. Contact us on that email address. And don't think we've got any more questions.
Yeah, like I mentioned at the start, I think we're here 10 a.m. every Thursday. Just subscribe to the Bitrix24 YouTube channel and switch the notifications on, and you'll get an email straight away as soon as we go live.
So that's 10 a.m. in New York and then 3 p.m. in the UK. But yeah, if you have that, if you subscribe and you have, if you click on the bell, you'll get notifications as well. So, okay, I think we're about done. Hopefully we'll see you next time.
Bye for now.